Hey, whoa, hey, what are you doing? Dancing at the camera? Good morning, everybody. Keith Pitch here, joined with Stacy Chevalier. Stacy, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Welcome to 10 a.m. Thursday mornings for Real Estate Now, where we talk about things that are important to the real estate market, mortgage, real estate trends, all that good stuff. And we're going to start today's show like any other show, and we're going to talk about
Interest
rates.
rate.
Interest
Yes.
rates. Da-da-da. So, as we mentioned last week, they ticked up a little bit, only to fall back down this week. And so, though I got one little tally mark on my side of the board, Stacy puts another one up on hers today. So, rates
I was
just
surprised because rates kind of moved up this morning. So we're still down though, huh? We're
yeah,
still
only
down.
the last 2 days. Yeah,
Okay.
last 2 days. So ever since we moved off of last week, so Friday, Monday, Tuesday was really good for the mortgage industry, and then late Wednesday, early today, we kind of deteriorated. Job numbers are coming out today. Well,
Yep.
preliminary job numbers coming out today, big job numbers tomorrow. So we'll see how that all plays out. What to look forward to going forward here in the great month of August. Really, the biggest needle mover that I can see coming up is the Fed's meeting down in Jackson Hole at the end of the month. And we'll get another look and feel into the whole committee's idea of, is this quantitative easing working? Should we continue to buy mortgage backed securities and municipal bonds and all that good stuff, or should we start slowing it down? The Fed's target number for unemployment is at 4%. We're still in the mid fives. So I don't see much movement coming out of it. The needle mover that I am kind of looking at and watching and being barraged by the daily news media is the new Delta variant and what different things are going to come as a result of that. So, um, with that new variable, I mean, rates could actually, if we see any extended extensions of social programs, if we see any extensions of eviction moratoriums and what have you, we could see the strength of the U.S. economy kind of collapse a little bit, come into itself, and actually drive rates even lower than they were last year, if you can believe that. Holy
I
smokes.
can't, but I can. Everything's possible.
Everything's
It's
possible right now.
current. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Situation. Yeah.
So,
I'll
right
just
on.
keep standing here, guys, saying this. They're gonna go down. They're gonna go down. But I'm
I
just
don't
a
know
talker.
what to say anymore,
Don't listen.
Stacy. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what to say. But anyway, that's our rate recap. Join us next week, and we'll tell you which way they go. I'm with Stacy next week. I think they're going to be good.
Yay! Keith's on our side now. Yay!
So,
Awesome.
right
Let's
on.
bring in our guest.
Absolutely. Who do we have today, Stacy, joining
Today,
us?
let's bring in, yes, welcome Jesus Cruz to the show.
Jesus, good morning. How are you?
Great to be here. By the way, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Great to have you. So today we're talking about diversity in the real estate industry, diversity in the mortgage industry. And Jesus, there's no one better and more equipped in our organization to talk about that than you, my friend. So super honored to have you. Could you tell everybody kind of what you do for Loan Depot?
Sure. So, and great question, by the way. I've been with the organization 2 years now, and I still, need to share with everybody what I do. And so, the most critical part is to bring awareness, to the organization within the retail channel, especially around diversity. The way I see it, there's three components that I focus on within my job, and one of them is recruiting. Okay, I believe we should be representing the communities that we serve in all market
Mm,
segments.
yeah,
So I work with managers, regional divisionals, identifying that, all based on demographics. And I'll share with you a little more, later on today. But it is all about demographics and representing the communities that we serve in order to really understand that market and really, do a better job in the lending piece. The second component is making sure that we have the products in place to really tap into those markets. Okay, I'm talking all market segments. Okay, so we're talking from the Hispanic market segment to the Asian American, African American, and others will include Native Americans, Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders. So making sure that we have an array number of products to really, help those individuals get into home ownership. So it's about who we serve and cater to them. So we have, just to give you an idea, right now we have a total of 600 plus down payment assistance programs that we participate in.
That's great.
Nationwide. So if you go to the affordable housing portal, you have access to all of those. So I work with managers and loan consultants identifying those products that are needed for us to do a better job on penetrating those markets, and then work with the different departments to get them approved, make sure that we have them in place. And besides that, we have an array number of products. We have visa products. We have the ITIN products, right, for undocumented individuals as well. So we broke it out to different organizations like Greenbox and stuff in order for us to really target those markets and do a better job in serving those markets. So that's one piece. Also combined with marketing, making sure we have the marketing pieces to really cater to those communities and for them to better understand. And then the last component is managing those relationships with outside organizations that focus on those markets. So, for example, NARA focus on the Hispanic market, area on the Asian American market, so on and so forth. So those relationships, those partnerships were involved. Last night I was in Orange County participating on a NARA event with the first Southwest regional event for NARA in Orange County. So I was there. The Huntington Beach team was there with me as well. So we were representing Loan Depot, and so those are the three components that I see. They're critical to my position, my job, and the ultimate goal is to grow, okay, and to be able to serve those communities. And in order to do that, we need to have these three components in place.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
I want to know a little bit before we jump into more of what you do and how it impacts lending. Could you just give a 1 minute just background on you?
About me?
Yeah, like how long have you, did you do this before at another company? Did you, all this
okay.
stuff? I don't know, just.
Okay, so I'm going to be, you want me to date myself, okay? You
yeah.
That's what you want me to do. And I understand.
Yeah, you have to tell us when year you were born, but yeah. Just,
I understand, Stacy. Yeah, so my background is in lending, of course. I've been in the mortgage industry for close to 38 years or so. I started from an originator, then, manager, area, regional, and then I went into the diversity space. So with Wells Fargo, with Washington Mutual, then Wells Fargo, I was the national emerging markets. At that time was called emerging markets national. Yeah. So I've been in the diversity space for 20 years of those 38 or so. So, and I started my lending career in Washington State, from all places, Walla Walla, Washington. Okay. So, and I was managing. I was the community lending guy covering the Tri-Cities, the Walla Walla, and the Pendleton on Milton Freewater and Pendleton in
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, Walla Walla has certainly changed. It's like Napa Valley for us now in Washington.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, I should move up now.
But, I know.
Yeah, so,
we got to get back up there. Okay, well, I appreciate the background. That's great.
Thank you. So yeah, I've been in the business for a long time, and I've been involved with all this for about 20 years or so. Thanks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something that I wanted to bring out to your attention, right? We talk about demographics, right? Where are we at? And sometimes, a lot of times, we take a state and try to break it down by demographics. So, and then analyze the state, and then say, well, based on the state, we're doing fine based on the representation that we have within our team, right? And so, what we need to do, and that's what I'm urging everybody who's on the call to do, is to take it deeper than the state. And I'm going to give you an example for Washington State. So if you look at Washington State now, demographics, right? The Caucasian or white population is 69%. Asian 8.11%, African American 3.7, and Hispanic 12.4. So
Okay.
that's the state itself. What I want is for you guys to really focus a little deeper than that. So, for example, you said, we took a look at the state of Washington, and the Asian population is 8.11%. But then when I go to Bellevue, Washington,
Yeah.
okay, now we're focusing on Bellevue, Washington, the Asian population is 27%.
Wow.
So analyzing those markets that way will give us a better view of where we need to focus from a recruiting standpoint, for example. And the diversity or minority lending is very simple. It's like any other lending. It's about trust. I'm going to you because I trust you.
Right.
Nowadays, as you know, everybody has the products. So it's about you, the individual. I'm going to go to you. So if I'm Asian American and I look at your branch in Bellevue and you have representation there of the Asian American, I'll feel more comfortable. I feel more trustful to go there. That's a prime example. That's, and that's Bellevue. You take other markets, like for example, if you go to Eastern Washington, right? You go to the Tri-Cities and you go to the city of Pasco. Pasco right there, 56% is Hispanic, Latino.
Wow.
Okay? So if we want a branch there, let's focus on qualified loan consultants that are bilingual, bicultural, to focus on that market, to better penetrate
Absolutely.
and to grow that market. So those are the things, also Stacy, that I do with branch managers and stuff. So if you have branch managers interested, they can reach out to me. I can pull all this analytical stuff, sit down and say, let's focus on what is your focus, okay, within the diversity space, because not all markets are the same. And so it's based on location, it's based on marketplace. The demographics nationwide in the US are also changing. And I'm going to give you an example of so in the US in 1990, no, in 20,000, okay? 2000. In 2000, our demographics for the white Caucasian, right, was 76%. 2020 is 60%.
Wow.
So what is happening, and that's why diversity is critical within demographics, is because the marketplace is changing dramatically. The demographics are changing, and all depends where you're at. You need to know your numbers, know your market, to identify where you need to be within the diversity space, and if you need to be in the diversity space.
Yeah. And I think
that's
it's important for people to do their research, right? Like you've done, Jesus, and you understand it, because I can't tell you how many people think Bellevue, Washington is a mecca of rich white people. And when I tell them it's one of the, or not, might be the most diverse city in the state,
right.
People are shocked. I mean, almost 40% of the population I just saw was born in 90 different countries.
Wow.
And the whole mask thing that people don't like, we've had masks in Bellevue for the last decade. Like that's a cultural, people just they wear them in other countries, always have. Like it's not unusual. It was not unusual to see masks daily before COVID.
I agree with you.
So
I agree with you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're talking in context of lending and what Loan Depot is doing, but I mean, this is a really good business principle and practicum. I mean, if you're out there, you got to know your market. You got to know your market. So
a lot of kids, that's a good point, and a lot of people think diversity like, oh, it's the nice thing to do. We should do it, right? For the minority space, or no, it's. If you're not doing diversity right now, if you're not focused on the minority piece, you're missing out, and you're going to pay the price down the road. Just to give you an example, the Urban Institute just came out with that report. Okay, so between 2020 and 2040, 70% of the new home owners will be Hispanic nationwide.
wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's
I'm
great.
pretty certain that there's no minority, right? It's the majority, that we're just a massively diverse country. I mean, that's really how we should be talking today.
And by the way, now that you mentioned that, Stacy, the Urban Institute as well, they came back with a statement saying that by 2040, the majority today, which is Caucasian white, will be the minority
Yeah.
among all population in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sharing all this because it's numbers, but this is what I do for the marketplace. So I can sit down with a specific branch manager and say, okay, you're in Everett, so let's look at Everett. So based on population demographics, the higher percentage of the minority segment is Latino, Hispanics. So let's focus on that.
Yep.
Okay, if that's what you want to do, because the business is there. At the end of the day, we want to grow, and we want to make sure we're closing the homeownership gap among all minority segments, all diversity segments, and also to grow sustainable home ownership. That's the goal for the organization, and we're in sync with that. That's our goal. And do you want me to? Is it okay if I share some production and based on?
Yes, please. I was going to talk about. That's where we are going next. So please share some
Okay.
production. Love to hear that.
Okay, so that's just the production. So to share with you how important diversity or minority lending is to Loan Depot. Okay, year to date, well, in 2020,
Okay.
we closed $10 billion within the diversity space. 10 billion,
Wow.
32,000 customers served. That's in 2020.
Wow.
Okay,
That's
Okay.
awesome.
that's amazing. So I took the numbers to year to date as of the end of July, okay? And company-wide on the retail side, we have funded 22.3 billion, and 8.2 of that is diversity lending. A total of 37% of the total is
Right.
diversity lending. That's
And are you
that's
looking at who we're lending to with those numbers? Are you looking at the program? What data are we pulling out to get that?
so to do that is Honda reporting. So
Gotcha.
that's the other piece that
Okay.
is critical. When we do the 1003, please, loan officers out there, make
Yeah,
sure
do
you
it right.
capture that, because otherwise we won't be able to manage all this, to really
Yeah.
track
And
it.
for the
And
general
so,
And
public watching, maybe Keith, you can explain what HMDA is and what the questions are, because this really brings up
Home
how important this
Mortgage
is.
Disclosure Act,
yeah,
HMDA.
you,
So yeah, HMDA is. Thank you.
yeah,
HMDA is a reporting tool that the government put in place in the late 70s to
right,
prevent redlining. Right. So redlining was a archaic practice of saying, hey, we're not going to lend to this group. We're not going to lend to this neighborhood. It's too depressed. It's too minority heavy. We're not going to do that. So as a result of that, we now on a lot of not just mortgage lending, but a lot of different lending vehicles have a disclosure of sorts that allow us to track how we are applying our credit practices to
right,
minorities as well as less underserved areas. So
right.
it's a great thing. And to Jesus's point, fill it out, ask the questions, make sure that it's complete,
Yeah.
so we
So,
can
and those
continue this
questions, when you guys
process.
are filling out the app, just to be super clear for those people, it asks you, what you want to put down for who, if you're Caucasian, if whatever you are. There's different questions. So please answer it. If you
Hispanic,
don't,
non-Hispanic, Asian, all sorts of different things, and it's
Yeah,
going to be expanded. It's going to be expanded next year, so
correct.
yeah,
it
yeah.
will really help. It'll help the industry, to Jesus's point, serve the individuals on the street better because we can understand our business. So it's a super awesome practice. So,
Yeah, yeah.
This is a good question. This is
ooh.
not asked in the HMDA. It's right, male, female. If you want to list that as not a question. So where does this
Oh, it is
fall?
asked in HMDA. This is asked in HMDA.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So going back to the question, we cover diversity. Right now, we're focusing on the diversity based on demographics, but also we cover demographics like LGBTQ, for example. Women, they're included. Single women and all that. So we can have all that data pull out as well. Okay. as long as it is provided on the application on the 1003.
I'm not sure that Quaylen's total question, but he might be asking like the numbers you said, Jesus, are those, that's not just any loan with a woman on it, right? No.
I'm not no.
When you said we did, I don't know, how many
8 billion of our 22 billion was diversity.
That's globally based on the Honda that is provided to us, and that includes women as well.
Okay, it does,
so, but it's not broken down. Unfortunately, Honda doesn't break it down, to us at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Awesome. Let's go back. Let's pull this back up. Where are we on time? We're already at 20 minutes. Holy smokes. It goes quick. So,
we have 10 questions ready and we've gone through 2. So we'll see if we can get through 1 more.
Let's jump to number 6, because I think this is a great question, because going forward, we're looking at the next 20 years. What do the next 2 decades look as far as diversity? You mentioned a little bit that the white Caucasian will at that point be a minority. And so what other hurdles do we have to jump through as far as making sure credit's available to everybody in the next 20 years? I know that's a big ask.
Right.
So,
right. One thing that in general, right, I attend different, outside meetings and conference calls and stuff. The issues, right, is space is the down payment is one of the hurdles. Down payment assistance is critical, as well as the focus on products that really not only the product, but for us to really understand that market segment. And what I mean by that, from an underwriting standpoint, okay, knowing that maybe the Hispanic, a market or a segment, or the Asian market segment, they don't have the same vision of saving money, in a bank, right? They have mattress funds, and they have this. So may be able to open up, the way we look at credit worth, and the down payment assistance, where the money is coming from. So that's one of the issues that we have nowadays, as well as education is the other one. We need to make sure that we're educating those communities on, I'm talking sometimes to a Hispanic borrower, I'm talking to them and they're telling me, yeah, I don't have the 20% down.
I want to give you a high five right now. That is the education.
So education is one piece, but also as an organization, as we continue to grow, and partnered out with Freddie and Fannie for them to have, a closer look to the underwriting profile of the borrowers, okay, based on demographics. And that means education to us, or education, how we can grow on understanding that market segment, okay? It's not just having an LO that speaks the language, is understanding that culture, understanding, what they do, okay?
Yeah, that is the education piece is so important, and it feels to me that we continue to remove that education piece of financial literacy from our school system, which is a shame. And that's why pre-COVID, I was doing lots of homebuyer classes, financial education classes, to help folks just learn the basics of what budgeting looks like, right? And then on my first time homebuyer classes, that's how I open it up. Okay, show of hand. Can somebody tell me what the minimum down payment is? Guarantee you 70% of those classes think that they still need 20% down. And minority or not, guys, you don't need 20% down to get into housing anymore. And so, and to your point earlier, there's over 600 down payment assistance programs we have access to.
Yep.
Bring it. Let's go. Let's get you into a house. So, right on.
I agree. And that's one of the hot topics that, one of the questions you shared with me, Stacy, was what will be a hot topic? Education. we need to go back to the. That's the way I started the business, by the way. I was the new loan officer in a small market, and nobody wanted to give me the business, right? No realtor. That was when we used to
Yeah.
go realtor office to realtor office with the gray sheet. Oh, good morning, how you doing?
Yeah.
And so I used to go there, and they used to throw it in the trash. They never gave me time. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so let me rethink all this. What do I need to do? So I started doing first-time home buyer classes in both English and Spanish. Then I had a purpose. Now I have a value add when I go to a realtor office. I may say, hey, by the way,
Yep.
I was here last week. You didn't want to talk to me, but I have a borrower that is ready, and they already went through the first time home buyer class, and they're ready to buy a home, and they qualify for X. You want to talk to me now or not? Yeah, sure. And that's how I created the business through home buyer education. And that was one piece to grow my business, but also is to let people know how things work and how you will qualify. And there's a 3% down, and there's a 3% down where one come from you, two could be gifted. I mean, so there's a Freddie and Fannie, and we have Home Possible. There's so much out there that people are not aware of. And that's where I come with the education piece.
Yeah, education is key. So I have to circle back on this. Were you a donuts guy or were you a bagels guy when you walked into those real estate offices the first time? Which one?
I have to confess, I was a donut guy. Okay.
You were
Donuts. Oh yeah.
Hey, we all start somewhere. I was the donut guy too.
I was a donut guy. I bring you to the end, but I always have one before I leave.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Just to back up on that last story, I just want to share a personal story with you guys. That to go back to the education, it's also just being more aware, I think, right, of what's going on, which I think over the last few years, thankfully, as a country, we're all being more aware. But I recently purchased a home in Bellevue. Been in the business many decades like you guys, and know a lot of agents, and ended up using an agent that I didn't know, but she knew the area, right? I could tell she was very smart. I don't even know how, and we don't need to go into how it happened, but she was, she's Chinese. And at the end of the whole thing, she said, you are the first Caucasian family that's ever worked with me. And she started to cry. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is heartbreaking. Like, you're so great at your job. I cannot even believe it's 2021 and we're having this conversation. But I just put that out there because it's like makes you think about, who you're hiring for a plumber. Not that we need to just think about these people, like choose whoever makes me cry. Like it was so emotional that, Anyways, so just think about that as you work with people. It doesn't have to be your best friend. It could be whoever you think is best at the job, whatever color, skin, or nationality they are, right? So it's shocking that a poor woman like that's worked here for 30 years and could say that.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great story, Stacey. And you touch on a point also that I want to share before we finish, and is please don't stereotype. Okay.
Yeah.
The stereotyping, especially thinking, okay, if you're a certain, minority segment group, you need a down payment assistance. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a super important thing.
It's critical. A lot of times, okay, so you're representing this diversity market segment, so you need a down payment. Okay? And let me tell you, there's within all the diversity, segments, there's people well educated. There's people who they can put 5, 10, 15% down, So don't stereotype from that standpoint when somebody walks into your office and automatically it's like, oh yeah, we have this down payment assistance program, so we have this. It's like everything else, like a doctor. Don't start prescribing, Listen. And including myself, sometimes I don't listen. I just jump into conclusions after, a few lines talking to somebody. Stop, listen. Think what they're talking to you about, and then propose, the best scenario for those individuals, for those prospects. Yeah.
Love that. I to that point, I'm a big Brene Brown fan, and I've always like brought people in and loved up on them and all that good stuff. And she put it together the best way I've ever heard anybody say it. It's people, people, people. We all have the same wants, needs, and desires. We're people, people, people.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter anything else past that. So
Yeah.
treat others like you wanted to be treated as people. And I'm just like, yep, we're just people out here living our lives. And so
We're in the people business.
yeah, we're in the people business, absolutely, and
So
we get to help
interesting.
people with the most stressful transaction of their life.
Yeah.
So
Great advice,
So-
both of you guys. Yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
that.
right on. Well, Jesus, in closing, we got to ask. It is the spirit of the Olympics. What's your favorite Olympic event
Okay, besides tennis, right? It's
besides
swimming.
tennis? Right, swimming. Okay,
Swimming.
well, what's swimming is a big sport.
Why is besides tennis? What happened there? I don't know. Is that like a non thing, or is it obvious that Jesus loves tennis? Like, I missed something.
I'm sorry. I was sharing with kids that, early age, I started practicing and playing tennis in the Canary Islands, where I used to live. So I grew up with that, and I continue practicing stuff. I'm not a pro. I just play. So
Swimming.
yeah.
I saw synchronizing swimming the other night. That's amazing.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Oh. That's crazy. And swimming in general, anything that has to had to do with swimming, from the the 400 meters, the 100 meters. It's just like amazing how an individual can, world records. We're saying world records.
Yeah.
How an individual can, go above and beyond, what was already set, and how year after year and generation after generation, they are going faster and faster. And it's like,
Faster.
wow.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I don't think I could run the pool as fast as they can swim it. So anyway, well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here and shedding some light on diversity in lending and what we're doing here at Loan Depot. So enjoy the Palm Desert triple digits, and we'll catch you next time, and appreciate it.
Thank you so much once again for having me. Give me a
Thank
call,
you.
additional information, whatever you guys need. I'm here for you guys. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Right on. Well, there you have it. Well, I hope you guys all got some great nuggets out of that, and we will see you next Thursday for Real Estate Now.
See ya. Take care.